The rain had been falling for hours, turning the city into a blur of shimmering reflections. Cars passed occasionally, their headlights slicing through the darkness, but no one noticed the young woman sitting on the edge of the bridge. Her red dress clung to her body, soaked completely, and her trembling fingers dug into the cold metal railing. Tears mixed with rain on her cheeks, making it impossible to tell where the sadness ended and the storm began. She had reached a breaking point. A moment where the world felt too heavy, too loud, too unforgiving. And in that moment, she believed no one cared enough to stop her. But someone did. On the other side of the bridge, a man in a dark suit had stepped out of his car when he noticed a figure sitting oddly still. At first, he thought she might simply be resting or enjoying the rain, but when she leaned forward ever so slightly, his heart dropped. Without thinking, he sprinted through the rain, his shoes slipping on the wet surface, his breath fogging in the cold night air. By the time he reached her, she had closed her eyes as if preparing for the final release. Just as she pushed herself forward, he grabbed her wrist with a desperate force, pulling her back from the edge of the void. She gasped, startled, as if waking from a dream. The man steadied her, gripping her hand tightly, refusing to let go. "Don't," he said softly, his voice shaking from adrenaline and fear. "Whatever you're facing, it's not worth your life." She hesitated, staring at him with hollow eyes. She didn't know who he was, yet his presence felt strangely grounding, someone who wasn't judging her, someone who wasn't walking away. The rain continued to pour, but in that moment, the world seemed to pause. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Still trembling, she allowed him to pull her safely back onto the walkway, away from the deadly edge that had almost claimed her. When her feet touched solid ground, she collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by what almost happened. The man knelt beside her, placing his jacket over her shaking shoulders. He didn't ask who she was or why she was there, instead, he spoke in a gentle tone, giving her space to breathe. Slowly, words began to spill out of her, broken, hesitant sentences about loneliness, betrayal, and dreams that had fallen apart. She wasn't looking for pity. She simply needed someone to understand that her pain was real. He listened without interrupting, giving her something she'd longed for, a moment where her feelings mattered. As the storm softened, she finally looked up at him. "Why did you stop?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath, staring at the river below. "Because I've been there," he admitted quietly. "Years ago, I stood on a roof thinking I had nothing left. But someone saved me. And I promised myself, if I ever saw someone else standing on the edge, I'd do the same." This confession changed something inside her. She realized life could break even the strongest-looking people, and yet, they could still rise again, and help others rise too. They walked away from the bridge together, slowly, step by step. The night that could have ended her life instead became the beginning of something new. Not a romance, not a fairy tale, but a connection born of shared struggle. A reminder that even in the darkest storms, a single hand reaching out can change everything. And as the dawn approached, bringing light back into the world, she whispered a promise to herself, "I'll keep going."